I'm going to show this to your dad. It's fantastic.
I'm scared, Mom.
Scared of what?
Dalton. Can I change rooms?
Why would you want to change rooms?
I don't like when he walks around at night.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week we decided to switch it up and do a film that we perceived to be actually scary. Maybe. A film that may, in fact, bring horror to you, that we thought maybe as a horror movie podcast, maybe we'd actually get scared. And jury's still out. We thought maybe we'll see. I don't know what everyone felt. But what we did do is Insidious 2010, a James Wan classic. And just in case you've never heard of this movie before, that's fine. That's fine with me. This is the IMDb tagline. I'm just getting it out of the way.
Yeah.
A family looks to prevent evil spirits from trapping their comatose child in a realm called the Further. Oh, it's just as hokey as the whole rest of the goddamn movie.
I forget. Had either of you already seen this?
We had both already seen this.
Why did you suggest it?
Because I really liked it in 2010, Chelsea. In 2010, when I was in 11th grade. I won't be judged for my opinions in 11th grade. All right.
Yeah. Sure.
I had a great time watching this movie.
You did?
I didn't have a bad time.
What was great about your time?
One, I watched this in college and I got to see it in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just had a good time. Like the music specifically really, like some of the scares aren't scary, but the scares plus the music just makes the entire movie to me like spooky.
I agree. They have like fully musical jump scares in this where like nothing really is happening on screen, but the music is like, I don't even know what it is. It's like, sounds like a chainsaw or something weird and bad.
That's his thing. There's a quote on IMDb trivia that was basically like, I love to do a spooky little scary sound. I love an atonal, shrieky little violin. Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
All right.
I had an okay time too. Like for the first like half, I would say I had a pretty good time. I did my new now patented Monica Height viewing seating arrangement in my home where I drag this chair I have that's very comfy 5 feet from the screen and I turn off all the lights and I fucking freak out.
That's
close
fun.
to me and it's really loud. And so I was trying to get scared for this one. And I did feel fear. And I also had a little extra sauce. I don't know how I say that. I had a little extra sauce.
You got flavor bossed.
I had a little flavor.
I also did that and it was storming. So like the atmosphere was just great.
Yeah.
I tried to create atmosphere. I was in a little dark room all by myself. Okay. You know what I mean? I think just like maybe James Wan and we don't have compatible interests or tastes particularly.
I would like to say that though I said I had a fine time for half of it, I like don't like it. And I think I don't like James Wan. And it's so bad.
It's not for us, and that's okay.
Love him, but like
he's got enough fans. He doesn't need us.
This is my question. I had this conversation with Adam last night, and he's like, "I don't fucking care." So thank God I have you girls, because I'm gonna go crazy otherwise. I feel like I can only like any of his movies if I read them through a camp lens. If I tell myself it's camp, then I thought that movie was a joy. Like, especially towards the end with the further and all that. I don't know. Like, just like, I don't know. I told myself it's camp, just like with Malignant, because we all watched that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And I was like,
remember
okay,
you
I
were
like
talking
this
about
a
that with
little bit
Olivia.
better. But I'm just like, there's no way, because let's be real. James Wan is this is gonna sound so mean. I mean, it's not a bad thing. He's a lowest common denominator director. So he creates movies that hit the lowest common denominator. For some reason, like hordes of people fucking dig his shit. And I'm happy for him. Okay.
He
That's
speaks
great.
to the masses. How
He
about
speaks
that?
to the masses. Exactly. No, but he's hitting this thing that like most everyone likes. Okay, that's great. But I'm like, there's no way that the thing that most everyone likes, that the lowest common denominator is camp. It's not. I know people don't like camp that much. I know that it is not massively loved. So I'm just like, I guess I just don't get it. I guess I'm not picking up what he's putting down. And that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like see how some of this you can be like, that's camp. But for the most part, it's like not doing enough of that for me to even be
Yeah.
like, it's camp. And that was my thing with
That's my
Malignant too, although
reach.
that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, I would actually like to do Malignant on the pod because I almost watched it again over the weekend. I want to watch it again and see how I feel anew.
on a rewatch. Yeah. My thing is like, I feel like this movie was created so that you could base a haunted house walkthrough on it rather than so that it could be a scary movie in its own two legs. You know what I mean? And like they did have an Insidious scary walkthrough at Universal in 2015. Like they did a whole thing. I bet it was great. I bet it was really
I think
fun.
I
love
went.
the aesthetics of the further part. But like, am I scared? No. Is there really a story here? No. It's not giving for me. There's no substance to it for me.
I just also feel like the acting was like weird.
That's because there wasn't the script to support the performance.
Yeah.
Why are there 3 kids and then 2 of them are not in the movie at all? Like, just why are they? You're wasting time on the page giving me these other kids. Give me more story.
I know. I like cut out the baby and just have little, what's his name? Lester, not Lester.
Foster, but even him, he doesn't even do anything other than he says one time he gets up and walks around at night.
Okay, that shit was haunting and terrifying. Okay.
The baby you need because the creepy ghost in the baby's room.
Yeah, I did like that.
But that could have been literally anything else. You know what I mean? Like it didn't need to be a baby monitor. It didn't need to be the babies. I just feel like if you're placing those set pieces on the table, use them. Use them.
I agree with you. I feel you.
Especially if it's a genetically passed down astral projection. Why are we not worried about these other kids then?
They don't have the gift.
I don't know.
They don't have the gift.
Okay, not everybody has the gift, Chelsea.
You only get it when you turn 9.
I feel like we should like set the scene with this one though, because it's not going to be like, don't worry, darling, where we're going to rewrite it to make it better. I don't want to rewrite it to make it better.
Yeah.
I got to fucking let that shit lie. But it's interesting casting. It's interesting to see Rose Byrne in a horror movie, even though I've seen this before. I just I don't feel like she is the scream queen that I want, but also do I love to look at her face? Of course.
She's beautiful.
A gorgeous woman. But just so many weird things. Like they moved to this house. The house is a banger. Let's say that.
The house is great.
And the second house also cool. Very cute.
Yeah, it's very, very cool house. I would move there too in a heartbeat. I want a house that's lightly haunted, but not in this regard. And I guess it's interesting that Rose Byrne is like writing music. Like, I don't know, like for what, like just for her, like we don't learn anything about anyone. Like she's like, I'm looking for my music. And we're like, okay, is this her job? Like what's happening? And then she sings and I'm like, it's not very good.
Right. Because like, what did they do? Because he's a high school teacher and she's now not working. How do they afford that house? I guess
It's
it was right after the financial crash of 2008.
Maybe it was a buyer's market at the time. Yeah, I
That's
don't
so
know.
true. Yeah,
That's so
but
interesting though.
it came
because
out in 2010, but it's set in 2008.
Usually the whole thing with a haunted house movie is like, oh, we can't afford to move. We just bought this house. You know what I mean? But they're like, nope, it was really not a problem. We moved right away. No issues.
Bro.
I guess for plot purposes, it was like, that's not even the scary part. Even when you can escape the haunted house, you can't escape the haunting.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
girl.
houses aren't haunted.
People are haunted. Bro, I just love all the fucking like named like mic drop lines in this movie that are like don't hit for me like at all. Like except for Foster with the I'm scared of Dalton. I don't like how he walks around at night. I was like shaking to my core and I wasn't even having any extra sauce yet at that time. I was like,
Mhm.
I just love a creepy kid. Like, and that kid looks creepy. Like, he's very cute, but he's got a spooky, like,
Aura to him, which is good for this
aura.
movie.
Yeah, no, so that was really good. And then I thought I was like super smart, like later on in the movie, where they're like, oh, he can astral project. And I'm like, oh my God, that's why he was wearing a cape and he drew himself flying and blah 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 blah. And I figured out this Easter egg, and it's gonna sound so cool on the pod. And then it's like a whole 5 minutes of the movie. They show every picture he's ever drawn, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, never crap. I was like,
Did you
oh yeah,
guys-
they're gonna think this is sick.
Did you guys watch that new Netflix show that came out a few weeks ago that was called like Behind Her Eyes?
No,
No.
I've never.
It's
even
kind of
heard
fun.
it.
It's astral projection-y. I would
Oh.
say like if you're looking to just put something on the TV for I don't know 6 to 8 hours, like go for it.
Okay. Next time I'm looking to fill a void, I will fill it with that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like. I was watching this movie, and so often in my notes, I was just like, "LOL," because that's
Yeah,
how I
no.
felt watching this film. I just was the whole time. So much of it was like, okay, but I will say. This film did have a pop culture impact, not just because people seem to really like it based on like all the ratings and stuff,
Yeah.
but because there was the moment where Patrick Wilson, I think, or someone is sitting in the kitchen and then the spooky demon face pops up behind him.
That
and I was like,
is-
oh, that's where that's from.
That is
And,
like one of the biggestly, wow, okay, we're rolling with it. Biggestly memed moments in horror, I would say. I see that shit all the time because I'm always on our Spooky Tuesday Instagram feed looking at shit and all the outreach accounts. And so I've seen that image 1,000 times. It is burned into my retinas. So the second he was in front of that blue wall, I was like, oh my God, it's coming. Oh my God, it's coming. Prepare yourself, Monica. It's coming. And then it happened, and I still almost peed my pants.
I know.
It scared you?
It's
Yeah,
got
it
me
gets-
too.
Oh my God. What did I want to be scared. You know what I mean? I want to have an experience. It's just like bored. Sorry.
I am like a very jumpy person by nature,
That's
as
true.
you two know,
Yeah.
because you know me. And so
Yeah.
jump scares fucking get me. Everyone's
Jump
like, I hate
scares
jump
get me.
scares. They're cheap. Yeah, they're cheap, but I love a cheap thrill. I'm a
I
cheap
love a well
queen.
done jump scare, but just a regular jump scare is not always going to get me.
Here's the
That
thing.
one's
Let's
really good.
compare the ugly Harry Styles jump scare to red face.
That one's
man
way
jump
scarier.
scare.
That
Okay,
said, the
red
is cute.
face
Yeah.
walked so Harry Styles could run. Okay, we wouldn't be able to have the Harry Styles jump scare if we didn't have this iconic 2010 jump scare.
But yeah, I mean that moment, the tiptoe through the tulip song moment, I was like, oh, that's from this
Wait.
scary movie. Like I've heard about that as a scary song in a scary movie. I'm like, oh, that's from this.
We cannot brush past that scene because that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The tiptoe to the tulips, which is like that's the fucking guy. Isn't that Tiny Tim? Isn't that the musician? Tiny
Yeah.
fucking Tim, the guy who's all of his songs are in SpongeBob. Like it's just a brilliant
That's what I was
choice.
thinking of SpongeBob. I was
Yeah.
like, what's
That
the
song
association?
particularly is in SpongeBob.
Okay.
SpongeBob classic. James Wan, SpongeBob fan. Known
Why would
SpongeBob fan.
that's
It's the thing. It's the thing that everyone does. It's okay. It's starting to get old. It's honestly starting to get old. Horror directors who listen to our podcast, it's starting to get old. The thing where you choose an old song and you're like, this is creepy. Aren't you scared because it sounds old? Like, okay, yeah, I was 40 movies ago, but
maybe this was the first. Maybe this one set some of those trends. Because I mean, this came out before The Conjuring and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this came
What
out
were you gonna
before
say?
Sinister, but
yeah.
I want spooky music like set to Backstreet Boys or something like that.
The Call by Backstreet Boys make it spooky.
Well, that's why Us is so fucking brilliant because they use that bass line from that song.
The I've Got Five on It song.
Yeah, I got 5 on it. That song fucking slaps for one. And then like it was a very compelling spooky bass line like throughout. I think that's really creative. And I used to love the spooky song being used throughout. Like I loved it in Candyman. They used the Candyman song in the most recent Candyman. That was fun. But like I think they do that shit or they're gonna do that shit in Halloween Ends. And I don't know if they ended up doing it. I didn't end up seeing it. But like even Barbarian loved it. That ends with Be My Little Baby. And then like
That's good though.
That
they
was
did
good.
great
No,
with
no,
that
I
one,
know.
though.
The thing that made me piss off, the thing that pissed me off, honestly, is that, and this isn't a spoiler, Smile does the same thing at the very end. Like it ends with like a old song or whatever. I don't know what song it is. And I was just like, every movie can't do this, you guys. Like this is like, it's not the mic drop you think it is at this point. But we can't get mad at James because it was 2010. So this was probably number like 5.
I'm not mad. I'm just like not entertained. You know what I mean?
Okay, that was so entertaining. It was a little boy, a little newscat boy, and he was flouncing around and he was like, I love Tiny Tim. Tiptoe right. Like he's
Of
like
the
doing a little
day.
jig. Huh?
In the middle of the day.
I think if I had seen this movie in the year 2010 on a big screen in a theater before I had seen The Conjuring and Sinister, etc., like all these other films that seem to share so much DNA with this movie, I probably would have had a different experience. Because again, this movie came first. But having seen all of that, it all just feels like very done to me. And it's also his style, which means that none of it like hits specific. It just feels like more of the same. Like I feel like he has a distinctive style, and I'm sure for some people that's really fun and exciting and they love to recognize it and see it and be like in communication with it regularly. For me, it's like I already didn't really vibe with it last time and now we're doing the same thing again.
Yeah, I think that the thing I hate the most is the coloring. I hated it.
Yeah.
It's like they like took a
the
syringe
further
and
coloring.
sucked all the color out of every single scene. It was like he watched Twilight and he's like, what if I make it bleaker than that, you know? So yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously we don't like it, but we still gonna talk about it. Let's talk about how Patrick
He's
Wilson
a flop of a
sucks.
father. Yeah.
He's a horrible father. I hated him so much.
Flop
I was like, I get it.
a father.
Horrible dad.
I mean, the concept of this whole movie is like fucking really sad. Like the kid is just like in a fucking coma out of fucking nowhere.
He's a flop before that. Sorry.
No, he's already a flop. She's running like she's like got 3 kids doing all this shit. He's not communicating with her that he can't take them to school. Also, it was super confusing at the beginning because he was like, sorry, I can't take them to school. Like I have to go into school. I have to go in right now. And then I have a PTA meeting after. And I was like, a PTA meeting? For who? Those are your kids. What are you talking about? And I was like, you did not make it clear he was a teacher. So
They
was
really
lost.
didn't.
I was completely lost. They don't make it clear he's a teacher until he's like deciding that he's gonna make up tests to grade instead of dealing with his grieving fucking family, little bitch ass. And then one fun
Until
thing.
11:30 at night, you bitch ass bitch.
2 nights in a row was this finals? No, come on.
How many tests are you giving, sir?
Something that I noticed though that I did think was cute because we love a little Easter egg. In the scene at the school, there's like a list behind him that's a detention list. and I like noticed it right away for some reason. I don't know. His name jumps out to me. James Wan's name is on it. X2. It's just James Wan X2. So he's got 2 detentions. Ha ha ha.
Oh.
Hilarious. We love it. And he drew a little jigsaw
Mhm.
on the thing.
That's what
So
I noticed. Yeah.
we love a little Easter egg. It's very fun. But
I wonder if I would like Saw, given that I don't like his other movies, but Saw is not paranormal like these ones are. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different genre.
I think we got to do it on the pod. I think we got to finally fucking watch it. Sid, have you seen it? You have, right?
I've seen a bunch of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hate torture porn shit so much. Like I hate it so much, but like that's like the one, you know?
Well, and this movie was him because he'd done like a bunch of Saw movies, and so this was his like
Branching out.
Yes, and also like there was a lot of like Hostel and more torture porn and
Human
this kind of-
Centipede.
yes, but this
He-
movie
He
like,
did Human Centipede.
No.
he didn't.
No, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
just in
It was
that
part of the
genre.
torture porn
Oh,
genre.
okay. Sorry.
But
I would say that's more body horror. But yeah, I agree. Continue.
True.
But this movie is while we were able to get Sinister and The Conjuring because he was like, okay, like we need to shift like horror right now. And so this movie's like notable for being that.
That shift.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
shift to the haunted house resurrection
yeah.
of the genre, I guess.
Yes.
Well, then let me take a moment to say thank fucking God. Thank you, James Wan, for shifting horror a little bit because I fucking hate torture porn horror so much. I would much rather have a spooky house. But it does really piss me off that we're putting Sinister in the same bucket as this movie. I get it. I obviously get it, but it's just so much better as a like big stand for Sinister. Like
And
Right,
Sinister
but-
much
had
better than this shit.
lore. Sinister like came up with reasonings for
Cool.
anything.
Okay, but a fun little connection with Insidious and Sinister is our boy Ethan Hawke was offered the dad role of Insidious.
Thank God he said no.
Thank God he said no.
He's way better
Yeah.
than the other one.
I mean, it makes
But-
sense why when we were introducing this movie at the end of our last episode, I was confusing them because there's so much in common there. Again, Monica's right. I wouldn't like if I were talking about like films that I enjoy and that I think are spooky, I would not really mention them together. Sorry again. But you know, haunted house, family drama, a dad moves them to a scary house, things start scary happening, and the dad is like, what? It's they're treading familiar ground. But yeah, I mean, Patrick Wilson was just a flop of a father from the very first moment that he appeared on screen, and then he never got better. And I guess what we're supposed to think, especially when spooky stuff starts happening, is like, oh, he has all of this stuff that he's repressing from his childhood, and like he's
Like, I
so
don't
scared of
fucking care.
taking photos, and I'm sure that made him whatever. I don't like they're not giving him enough to work with. Why does Rose love him? She should run away with the nurse.
I don't think they did a good job. Agreed. Also, I don't think they did a good job of laying the groundwork of the lore or whatever because like there
There
was
is a
one
lore.
moment. No, okay, no, I know, but there's supposed lore. Scare quotes, lore. Okay. There's one point at the beginning where like Rose Byrne, what's her fucking name in this movie? Hold on.
Renee.
Renee.
But spelled
Ooh, an interesting spelling.
yeah.
Renai. Cool.
Spelled so
Love that for
weird.
her. Interesting. She didn't want to have that accented E, so I get it. Anyway. At the very beginning, she's like looking at pictures of herself as a kid, which were adorable pictures of actual Rose Byrne as a kid. And like
Mhm.
her son calls her old, and I was like, fuck
He's
you.
like, I don't know, you're probably 21.
I was like, okay, great redemption by saying that, actually. So good job. Children are great, I guess. But like, they're like, I want to see pictures of daddy. And she's like, oh, I don't have any. Is that it? Is that the whole thing? Is that all we get? Is that the only thing that we get to be like, yeah, there's no pictures of him? Like, she's looking at a picture of her childhood. So that's why there's no pictures of daddy in there. That's what I thought. But is that supposed to be the breadcrumb? Like, oh, there's no photos of him at all. Like, they didn't do a good job of that. They could have been like, I don't know. That could have come up one more time or something in a more explicit way. And I also think my biggest issue with this movie, even though again was scared multiple times. I hate the monster design. I think all the monsters look fucking dumb, except for Spooky Demon guy. He's pretty scary, but he looks like Darth Maul.
He does look like Darth Maul.
He looks
Except he
exactly
got
like Darth
hooves.
Maul. Which, okay, yeah. I did like that. I did like Elise being like whispering, and then you can only hear some of what she says, and she's like, he's got hooves, and like, cool.
Okay, but we didn't like Face Licker.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I would say I didn't like the face licking.
Honestly,
was
nothing
that?
would be scarier than a man coming out and then licking my
Oh,
face.
Okay,
The
one.
guy who's like pacing
agreed.
outside
No.
the bedroom and then inside the bedroom, and
You mean that Dracula looking ass guy?
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the one I had the biggest issue with. I'm like, he just looks like Dracula. This is not scary. He looks like a fucking Party City Spirit Halloween Dracula. Actually, Spirit Halloween would do better than that. A Party City Dracula. That's what he looks like. That's all he looks like. Which I'd be scared if that was in my house too. But like, he could have looked like something else. I don't know.
Again, it feels like every spooky visual in this movie was created so that it could be replicated in a haunted house walkthrough.
Yeah,
it was not specific to being on film. That's what I think it's just like, I'm sure it would be a very scary haunted house, you know,
It
with
was.
those
I'm
people
pretty
sitting
sure I went
there
to it.
and
I went
you're
to
walking around, they're
Horror
holding
Nights.
still something. Oh no, now there's
Dolls.
gunshots. You walk back in and they're like making creepy little faces at you and they've got bullet holes in them or whatever. Like, but in the film, it's just like, okay, girl, they're just chilling. Why don't you leave them alone and go get, I don't know. I feel like they set up him to be such a flop so that he would redeem himself by having to confront his past, and this was something he used to do and he's been repressing it. He's the only one who can do it, blah blah blah. But he was literally bad at it, and he just continued to be a flop even in that moment. Well, but she was like, okay, make sure none of them know that you don't belong here, because otherwise they'll start coming for your physical body. And he immediately was like, hello, I'm new here. Is there anyone around? Dalton, are you there? Like, sir, literally play it cool. It's not that hard.
He is
He doesn't know how to yes and.
He's a flop. He is a flop. It's true. It's true. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is just like the trial run for The Conjuring. It's the exact same shit, honestly, but less good than The Conjuring movie I hate. This is like I still had a good time watching it because I like remember it was James Wan. So tempered reactions. Okay. It's not like me with Don't Worry, Darling. Like I knew what to expect. But like all of it, like the monster design sucks in comparison to The Conjuring, where like you get cool shit. Like they have the cool little lore about the different little items, and there's Annabelle, and I mostly only remember Annabelle, to be honest with you. I don't remember the other one. There might be other ones.
There's like a little monkey that clapped its hands, I think.
Yeah, that's spooky. There's also a spooky lady in The Conjuring, I think, and she looks spookier than this weird grandma that they have in this.
The bride.
Oh, she's a bride?
Is she
Grandma
a bride?
Yeah.
Actually, what's interesting, they didn't establish this in this movie that person on film was just a man playing the scary woman. But they establish, I guess, in one of the second ones per IMDb, that the spooky person is actually a man dressed as a woman. So it is drag, which is fun.
Oh yeah, I've seen the other ones.
We love drag.
I have seen the other ones. I unlocked that memory because I was like, when does this part happen? And I was like, nah, in the sequel, actually. That's where that part happens.
This film felt so like pandering for a sequel immediately. Do you know what I mean?
It was.
Which I don't like. I think that's cheap.
He knew he could get it, Chelsea. How many Saw movies are there? There's 75 Saw movies, at least.
Minimum.
75.
Maybe he was really the king of the horror at that moment. Maybe he was the reigning champ.
He was, and he kind of still is. Like, honestly, as far as fan base wise, bitches.
And I guess was this was during M. Night Shyamalan's flop era, so they needed somebody to step in and take over.
Yeah, and I don't even think like I love M. Night, but like his movies, I don't know, like Sixth Sense is a horror movie, but it's not, and that's his biggest success. Like The Village is a horror movie, but it's also like I don't know. I don't know what The Village is. The Village is weird. And so like I feel like he's a little all over the map, like with his genre. Like Signs is a horror movie, but it's not a horror movie like this, Like those are like they're I don't want to say they're more
about
highbrow.
families
They're
at
a
their
little
heart.
more like psychological or whatever.
Sure.
And this is like a horror movie. It's like a jump scare. You go with
There's
your girlfriend
ghosts.
in high school. You throw the popcorn in your ear. You hold hands. That's what this movie is. You know what I mean? It's like a classic Friday night in high school movie to go see. That's what it feels like to me.
Sure.
And that's when I saw it. So that's probably why it feels that way to me. But it's like that classic, like blockbuster horror movie of the 2010s. I don't know.
It's for the people.
Now. It's for the people. It's just for
the
laughs.
masses.
It's
the
just
people
to
liked
be
it.
like,
I'm glad the people had a fun time. I
it's just like,
was waiting for it to end.
I get that.
I was,
I understand that you hate it, but we still have to talk about what happened in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like what happened in it? Very little. You know what I mean? Like he goes upstairs, he is climbing a ladder, a step breaks. Oh no, he looks over. There's something spooky we're not shown as the audience. He goes to sleep. He wakes up, or he doesn't ever again. Just kidding. They go to the hospital. Oh no, doctors don't know what's wrong with him. 3 months later. Like it's not giving, you know what I mean? And like I figured out early on that the house was not haunted, he was haunted, and that like he got possessed or whatever was happening in the moment. Like I simply do not have that much to say, I guess.
Okay, all right, I do. So let Sydney and I talk about it. Thank you. There's more to discuss, like it sucks, but like let's laugh about it a little bit. You know what I mean? I think that we need to talk about Elise because I love Elise, and here's a hot take. I think that her scarf looks like the cool S over and over and over again in different shades of blue. And that was one of my favorite parts of the film. That's how you know that she's a baller, because she has the cool S on her scarf.
Here's the thing. Elise in the gas mask, that bitch was ripping bongs back in the day. And she was down.
I love her like whole vibe that she's like sunny sunshine flowers grandma, and then she has this ability. I love it. I think it's very cute.
I love her.
With my auntie, I love her. I thought she was a really fun part of the movie, and it was fun to see the sort of like prototype for the Conjuring boys that we get that are much cuter and funnier in the Conjuring. But I did like our spooky helper boys here.
You know what this movie basically is? It is Poltergeist.
It really is just Poltergeist. And no offense to Elise, but like she's no Tangina.
What? Okay.
I can't compare them.
It's different. And I did think there was like one spooky moment near the end where something when Dalton is up and walking around during their first trying to contact him with the gas mask or whatever, and then the camera like panned down over her like sweater set and her pressed khakis and her little ballet flats. Like there was something about that was kind of funny to me. And it's not that I didn't like Elise's whole vibe or whatever, but something in me really wanted them to switch the casting for Lorraine and Elise and have Lorraine's actress play Elise and have Elise's actress play the grandma. Like for some reason the vibes in that felt like kind of whack, and like they should have just been swapped. And maybe it was because Patrick Wilson's mom just looked a little too much like his wife, and I was like, okay, girl. I see what is happening here.
I liked the casting, how it was. I liked Lorraine. I think that she was hot, so that was part of it. Hot haunted mom. Hot. And I just like that. I like Elise's casting. I like that Elise like looked the way she was and was so unassuming, but she wielded this power. I thought that was iconic. And
Sure.
I Hundo P, spoiler alert, did not remember that she dies. Like, why
Oh,
do I
yeah.
Right?
remember her like in all of the movies? I don't know if that happens.
She's in all of the sequels.
Okay, well, bring
Because
her back.
Are they
all-
Thank God.
prequels?
Yeah.
Oh.
But there is a sequel too. One of them is not a prequel. I don't know. There's definitely one where they go in after Daddy. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that's the second one.
That's the second
and
one.
she's
And
a
then the third
ghost.
one is the prequel.
And the fourth.
Okay,
Oh.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? Because I know she's in the other ones. That makes sense about ghosts and how like they're in the
Sure.
further, and that's where ghosts live. And wow, okay, that totally makes sense.
I will say though, one of
Um,
my favorite ghosts are the creepy smiling family.
Yeah, I like them.
Like,
Yeah,
I like the lipstick demon's whole red opera little room thing he's got going on. He's got taste, you know. I'm trying to
incredible
hang out.
interior decorator.
that is where it got like I was like, this has got to be some sort of take on being camp or something. I was like, things have gotten grandiose all of a sudden. We've been given scraps the whole movie, and now there is the most elaborate set dressing I've seen. Like
They
Listen,
sucked the color out of every other scene so that they could plop it into that scene.
that's what it
Lipstick
was.
Demon just really wants to bring Phantom of the Opera vibes to his
Yes.
home.
It was giving Phantom. It was so giving Phantom. When are we doing that on the pod? Maybe that'll be my birthday movie. Anyway.
Fun.
Thinking about it all the time. What was I gonna say though? Oh,
Phantom of
okay.
the Opera.
Something that I think is interesting, just like from other stuff that I'm watching right now. I've mentioned this on every single episode probably for the last 2 months. That I'm watching Evil right now, and I think that like the demon design in Evil is like very similar to Lipstick Demon. Don't you think, Sydney?
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's like very similar vibes. Like they picked like I don't know. They definitely had that on their vision board when creating many of their demons.
I want to know, like, when they came up with the lore for this demon in the sense that he's called the lipstick demon. And IMDb trivia told me that when there's the like handprint on Dalton's bed sheets, that was not blood. It was lipstick from the lipstick demon putting his lipstick makeup on his face. But like I did not
That'd be cool to
perceive
know
any
about.
of that in the film. Yeah, like we saw him sharpening his claws at that one point, but that's really all that we got from him on that front.
I did not understand why it was called the lipstick demon at all. And
Everybody felt like
Did it say that in the movie? Did they call him that in the movie?
no,
No,
they didn't
that's
call
in
him
the second
anything.
movie.
They don't call him
Okay.
literally anything. They're just
The
like
red-faced
he's
demon.
That guy.
spooky. Yeah. The son says the guy with fire on his face. That's like
yeah.
the closest that we really get to naming him in this film. It just felt to me like all of the spooky things for the most part moved kind of slowly, and like Elise says, you know, it takes time for the spirits to get to the physical body outside of the further or whatever. So like the fact that Dalton's been gone for 3 months, you know, they're creeping ever closer every minute, but they're not here quite yet, which like that's fine. Although now I don't know why Patrick Wilson's body is like vulnerable when he hasn't been gone for 3 months and it's been taking him literally
they
3
already
months.
worked
But
him
like
down.
and I guess
They're-
they've gotten closer. They know they were
Well,
coming towards
no.
Dalton and now they're right
He has
here.
a whole history of this, Chelsea. So like his whole childhood. So that might make him more susceptible to it, you know, already.
Sure.
They've
It just felt
broken down
like
the barrier.
I guess the movie, the end of this film tells us explicitly that all of the ghosts are not easily defeated because they are not defeated in the movie, but they seem like really easy to fight. Do you know what I mean? He pushes one guy one time and it's like, okay, push the rest of them.
Yeah.
Just say, excuse me.
He's like not even trying. He's such a flop.
He really does. He does suck. He does suck so bad. And Well, part when he like doesn't believe his wife no matter like what happens. And like they have Elise
Oh.
there. She's like had her vision and they all freaked out. And he's just like, I won't believe this, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I will push you into oncoming traffic. Like if I've said this to Adam. I was like,
You
if
have to
I say
believe
there's
me.
a fucking ghost, same thing that Sydney always says. It's do or die. You believe me or you die.
I hear you and I agree. And I also just think like she's not charging you money. Why are you not willing to try something that's not going to cost you anything other than a little time and suspension of disbelief? You know what I mean? Like your child is not waking up from his not coma for 3 months now. Wouldn't you try whatever was offered to you? Like why? I get he has this repressed trauma and that's why he's pushing against it. He's got some like instinctual fear maybe of this whole process. I don't know. I don't want to get into our segments too soon, but I also feel like why was Lorraine not like on the lookout at any point in time for anything like this? If she's been in contact with Elise all along, you know what I mean? Like, it's been 3 months of this. Like at no point did she want to be like, "Hey guys, like."
Also, like, why
Well,
didn't they think that this wouldn't pass down to his kids?
Yeah, Elise is literally out here like this is genetic. We didn't want to be proactive though. I guess we just would wait until your son had been in a coma for 3 months before we
Right.
decided to try anything.
We had to really
Well,
make sure.
Patrick Wilson's character, whatever it may be named, he wasn't in a coma though when he was a little kid. So it's not like it was the exact same situation. So I'll give them that. Like he just like they saw the pictures and they saw the ghost that way. So like the signs were different for
Yeah.
so it's not like, oh, Patrick Wilson was in a coma and that's because ghosts were getting him and now Dalton's in a coma. Huh. I don't see any connection. Like it wasn't that cut and dry, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah. They waited for Roseburn to like confirm to see the little boy ghost before she was like, it's for sure a ghost now. Like, I don't really know why she established for sure that one was a ghost and none of the other ones were ghosts, but
Well, it felt like an intruder because the alarm was going off and that feels corporeal, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
mhm.
And it was a man, you know? It was like a big
And he was like there 1 second,
Dracula
and then it was
ass
like the
man.
windows behind him were open, so conceivably you can jump to your conclusions, blah blah blah.
Right. And this was a period piece little boy. So
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, nobody would wear that newsboy's cap like that. This
in
must be a
2010.
ghost.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments where I sort of liked what they were doing. Like when in that initial alarm going off, is there a home invasion scene? I liked some of the camera work where like the handheld camera kind of moving around like did create some tension.
Also,
But
it was
for
so
the most
loud,
part,
and that was scary. How loud
Mhm.
it was, you know.
Yeah.
Just saying, I was.
But for the most
uncomfortable.
part, it was just like, okay, he went downstairs earlier and he locked the little screen door and then he closed the main door. He didn't even lock that. He just put the chain on and the alarm on and went back upstairs. Like, he's not even trying to protect his house, first of all. I think he's just literally
Who's
the worst
bitch?
horror movie
Can you
haunted
guess what
house
we're gonna
father
say?
we have seen. But he's such a
Redemption
fucking
arc
flop.
in Insidious 2, maybe. We
I'm
won't
not
know 'cause
watching that.
We're not putting that shit on the pod anytime soon. I'll
I'm
tell you
not
that.
spending my time in such a way.
We've got 52 weeks in a year, and we cannot spare another one for the Insidious franchise at least for 52 more weeks. Oh man. What else? Okay, I was scared though when Elise was like, he seems sus, you know, at the end. When she was like, what's his deal?
Right. Like,
And
I
she
was
snapped his
scared.
picture.
That was scary. And I felt fear. And that was a good little twisty twist right at the end. I know it's setting, I know it's sequel bait, whatever. We've established that. But I forgot that it happened. So I was like, oh shit. Great
Yeah.
fake out.
I think it would have been more than just sequel bait and could have been like an actually scary ending to the film that felt earned, that felt like the stakes were high because it was like a relatively easy like defeat of the evil or whatever. If they had built out that lore more and we knew like what had happened to him when he was younger, other than something was getting closer to him in the pictures and he was having night terrors, like if he'd been having any other symptoms or anything, you know what I mean? Like I think you could have built that up enough to be a worthwhile payoff. Instead, it was like he held off on going back to his body so that he could confront this and be like, who are you? What do you want? And then we didn't get any of it.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks because I'm thinking about it now, and I am actually really enamored with the concept of being a traveler, like in this film, like being like the sleeping astral projection, like lucid dreaming almost, like leaving your body, that whole sort of thing. As someone who's had vivid dreams my entire life and a weird hallucination vision last week that I'm trying to figure out what happened. Anyway, I don't know. I was pretty high, so I mean, spiced. Sydney, edit it out. I was pretty spiced. There you go.
Can't ever admit to doing illegal drugs on a podcast.
No, I can't. People are listening in other states besides California.
That's so true.
It's so true. But I don't know. I do think that that's a really cool concept. Like the concept is cool. Like having a little kid who's a vivid dreamer and then they like leave their body. That's a cool concept. I just wish that the execution had been more nuanced. It's just not. They're just like, look at this idea. Beep, cricket,
lots of fun ideas here and just not a lot behind them, which again, maybe these were super fresh ideas at the time, and so having the idea alone was like revolutionary. But I'm watching this in the year 2022.
This was elevated horror for 2010.
Was it really? Stop.
Because it was
all
all
other 2010 horror movies.
This was back in the day.
Piranha.
Right? Like they were doing a lot of remakes. They were doing a lot of torture porn. Like this was really like when it came out, this was high concept horror.
Yeah. So I mean, for the time,
Black Swan came out in 2010. Black Swan was like high concept.
A
psychological thriller. That's different.
Thriller.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like those are headier for sure. But again, this is like a blockbuster horror movie. So you're going into this knowing that somebody's gonna go boo, and that's gonna be like most of the shit is people going boo, but they did boo in a new way with Rose Byrne. Cool.
Okay.
Love you, Rose. No, yeah, I mean, I remember it fucking scared my pants off back in the day, and I am still susceptible to the bumps in the night, So I went, oh, I almost peed, and I held on to BB very tight. That's my dog, very tight because I was scared. And then I think he peed on me a little bit because I held him too tight. So like
you
there was fear all
squeezed
around.
It right out of him. Yeah,
I squeezed it right out of him. So that like it did do some stuff, it did that, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do. I just don't like his style, man. I wish I did. I did. I'd love to hang out with everybody in the world. I talk to people about horror movies everywhere that I go. And I tell them I do a horror movie podcast because I can't shut the fuck up about it. And then people say, I love The Conjuring. And I say, oh, cool. Well, cool.
It'd be so fun to bond.
Podcast.
Yeah.
We fucking roasted it. Oh, God.
Don't listen to our episode then.
Yeah. Like, haha, we didn't cover that one. Haha. Oh, I've never seen it.
I mean, Annabelle Creation was a different writer-director team, so it was like a totally different vibe, but it is in the universe, and we did like kind of vibe with that one, so I'm like,
I fucking loved Annabelle Creation. I'll come back for Annabelle Creation.
Yeah.
It slapped.
But I'm trying to give it some credit and say maybe at the time that it came out, it was doing something. But with Poltergeist coming out in the 80s and so much of this really honestly just retreading Poltergeist, except we like see into the further. And whereas in Poltergeist, we didn't like see what was going on the other side. You know what I mean? We only saw the way that it affected our world. That maybe is the only thing, but it is so like helpless horror movie, haunted house mommy, father who does not believe his spooked wife. It even feels, for when it came out, it was not doing anything particularly new. I hear what you're saying. I'm not prepared to like,
I don't know. I think it was doing something new back then. I think like confirmed it was.
Okay.
But like you can't go back in time and see what we saw in 2010.
can't.
You weren't
You're
there,
right.
but we were there, and
We
it
were
was
in the
fresh.
moment.
We were there in the moment. Let me tell you about it. It was fucking scary.
And here's the thing too. This is a great movie to watch in like a large group.
Yeah. When you're not super paying attention and all of a sudden you look and you're like, you know?
Just
did
you'll
I
have
scare the
multiple
listeners?
people's reactions, and like you'll react to their reactions, and this is like, it's a very fun like communal horror setting movie.
I
meant
wish
to be watching a crowd,
it was
in hand.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that I agree with you, but like when I'm watching a movie like that for a group setting, I want it to be actually like a little bit worse in like a funny way. You know what I mean? Like more bad. This isn't even like so bad that it's funny. It's just like kind of like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
You know. I
You're
was like, I
trying to
wanted
give
it to just like give me the boy, like give me like really shitty weird shit that like it's like the writing is bizarre and the acting is strange. This was just like la 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 la, you know.
Yeah.
Wasn't yeah. It left a loss.
It could have been
be
1,000 times
desired.
more camp, and if it were 1,000 times more camp, I think I could maybe get on board. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like kind of straddling the line without committing.
Yeah, I was like the further part felt like it was getting towards a little bit campiness because I was like, is like no one thinks this is scary, right? Like that part, just the part in the further with the fucking lipstick demon sharpening his nails in his fancy not cabin, I'm sorry, I don't know what you want to call it, attic room thing. I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in stark comparison to the rest of the film. I was like, what's happening with a vibe switch? I have whiplash.
And like Dalton is chained up. What was that about? But then Patrick Wilson just like bloop, like opens it right away. Okay, I guess it was not that hard.
Cage of his own making. I don't know. I'm just saying shit at this point.
I mean, I liked, I guess, that he was chained up in the sense that it explains that he didn't just like wander away and get lost. Like he's been prevented from returning. So it does make the lipstick demon a little bit more of a threat to some degree. But at that point, I'm like, why is he not just like killing him in the further? Like, can you not do that? Like, what are the rules here?
They're dead.
What's at risk?
You can't die when you're dead.
But he's not dead. That's the whole thing. He's alive, and so he's different, and so it's enticing. Blah blah blah.
Oh,
but
he's a demon.
I'm talking about Dalton.
Oh. Sorry, we were talking about you.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that if you're trying to steal his body and you've had him chained up either for this whole time, you're really like dragging out this process, or like, I don't know. They didn't set up any, I love me some rules. They didn't set up any rules, and there was no consistent like explanation for anything. It was just like, this is what felt spooky to do in the movie in the moment, and we're just going off of vibes.
Yeah, that's fair.
We love vibes. I go off of vibes every single day.
It's just an energy, It's just that James Wan energy, Do you feel his energy? See, the thing is, Chelsea, we're just not on the same wavelength as him. He's vibing at a different frequency than we are. And honestly, sucks. Wish I could tune my frequency up just for when I watch these movies so I could have more fun. But alas.
Maybe one day I will get on that frequency.
Life works.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Like, when I first heard The Chain by Fleetwood Mac, I was like, this is a song and it's a good song, but I like, okay. And I moved on with my life. And then I had a period of time this year or last year, I forget, where I was just like listening to it constantly because it was like, finally that song's vibrational frequency and my vibrational frequency clicked right in. And I was like, I'm obsessed with this and I need to be listening to it
Listening to it
24/7.
every second, yeah.
So like maybe one day I will have a James Wan phase. But so far not happening.
I don't think that's gonna happen for me unless he releases a new movie
Maybe
and it's
let's
different
try
than his old movies.
maybe if we get flavor blasted enough one day, like we're gonna be on the astral plane, you know what I mean? And then we'll be like so suited to watching this film.
Yeah. Maybe we'll like Dead Silence because it's about a doll.
A puppet.
It's about a puppet doll like thing. And we love dolls. I don't
I
know.
was looking at his IMDb, and he did do Furious 7, which I thought was super interesting. I don't know if you knew that, Bonnie.
I fucking love that one.
Oh,
That one's pretty good. Well, okay, well maybe he's just not good at horror movies and he should only do action movies.
His
Okay, I'm
vibe
sorry.
for the
I'm
paranormal
gonna
is
get
just
shot
not
for
like.
saying that. I'm kidding. Haha, it was a joke.
Well,
Haha, we love to laugh.
Here's the thing. I like that James Wan and Lee Winnell are willing to play with like different kinds of horror and different genres, because Lee Winnell also wrote The Invisible Man, and I did really like The Invisible Man, which we did like a year and a half ago, whenever that was. I guess I just don't like, I'm not saying they're not talented. You know what I mean? Clearly they're doing some really good stuff. And also people really like some of the stuff that I don't like. It's just like not to my taste. But it's just not to my taste.
It's just how like Sydney doesn't like any of the same movies that I like. And
Mhm.
it's not because one of us is right and one of us is wrong. I'm kidding. I'm lying when I say that. I have my own opinions. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We just have different tastes, and that's fine. I'm coming to terms with it every day.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
everybody, you know, different
Mhm.
strokes for different folks.
I
That's
think
why they
my
say that.
problem with these films also is that like the parts that do feel kind of camp are kind of fun. Like I like parts of the aesthetic of The Further. Like I liked when one of the guys who looks like a Mormon missionary was like writing with the pencil and then the pencil broke. You know what I mean? But it just feels like so tonally inconsistent with so much of the rest of the film also, that even when they're doing something that does kind of speak to me, I'm just like, where was this the rest of the movie? Like why?
Yeah.
I want them to be telling a consistent story, not vibe chasing.
Totally. Well, I'm with you. Should we move to our segmentos?
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at my notes just to be like, is there anything else that I want to touch on? Not really, I guess. Oh, I did like when he first went into the astral plane, Patrick Wilson, and she rhymed for some reason. And she was like, now you're outside, let my voice be your guide, keep a steady stride, into the further you go. Like I thought that was a fun little audio clip. But literally in my notes I wrote, this film is so silly.
It's so fucking silly. It gets so silly. Maybe James Wan's just a silly little goose. Have you stopped to consider that?
At part it felt like 13 Ghosts vibes almost, you know what I mean?
Don't compare those. How fucking dare you?
Well, I mean, and the parts where
I know what
like
you mean.
Patrick Wilson is in the further and he's like getting right up close to the ghosts, but not really like interacting with them yet. Like that felt like when they're like walking through all the ghosts in their little like chambers in 13 Ghosts. But again, 13 Ghosts is committing to like a whole thing, and in the way that this movie is not committing to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Ugh. Anyway, how could it be gayer?
It could be gayer if Rose Byrne ran away with that nurse who says one encouraging thing to her and Patrick Wilson never does.
We literally are
so much.
grasping
I'm
at
sorry.
straws. No,
Yeah.
I don't blame you. He sucks. He doesn't get to be gay. I don't want him, and he's not allowed in the community.
No, he's a very straight man. I think his mom though is a lesbian, and he was raised by two moms.
Lorraine,
she's
and
having an
Elise
affair
are
with
his
Elise.
moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the moms that are in question. Though that's it. Like they've got vibes. They've got shared history, a shared love of Patrick Wilson, though he sucks big dick.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I'm happy for them.
For me.
Specs and Tucker could be together. I kind of like their banter. You know what I mean? Oh, one thing from earlier when Patrick Wilson was not believing, I was like, they literally have that like picture viewer thing that lets you see ghosts and the other. Why don't they just show him if he's such a non-believer? Anyway, yeah, Tucker
He can't even
inspects.
look at pictures. He's so scared of pictures he can't even see a picture. No, it
That's
doesn't even have to
so
be
true.
of him. He just can't even see a picture at all.
I think
I will
Tucker
say-
inspects should kiss.
The bride in the back of his childhood pictures were really like I'd be freaked out.
Oh, and
That is a queer icon.
yeah,
right there.
that's
Oh, yeah.
drag. Lipstick Demon is doing a full face beat drag moment.
The little hove heels, very cute. Love that.
Mhm.
Oh
The
my
Smiling
God.
Family, probably there's something lesbian going on there. What?
There's got to be heels that look like cloven hooves. There
Oh,
have
for
to
sure.
be.
What is the Powerpuff him?
Yes, I was just thinking that. Oh my God, thank you, Sydney.
Oh, side by side of Lipstick Demon and him. Oh my God.
Who did it better?
Him did it better.
Him
Yeah.
Did it better. Unfortunate. So bad.
Him,
So sad for
him,
Lipstick
him,
Demon.
him.
Lipstick Demon wants
Him
what him has.
Sexy.
Him is sexy. Yeah.
There's a lot of sexy people in Powerpuff Girls. Just saying. Anyway,
Miss Bellum. Yeah, I
for
mean.
another time.
Mhm.
Well, it's cool that all the demons are queer.
Yeah.
And stuff. That's always fun.
The
We love
face
to see
licker,
that.
I feel like he's got his little hat, you know what I mean? He's exploring something for sure.
Bootleg Dracula. I can't. I just saw Bram Stoker's. Okay, I can't see this trash.
Mhm,
Disrespectful. Matthew Lillard. I don't think he needs to be in it. Like, I don't need him to be in it because I just don't want him to have to be subjected to it.
He's the red-faced demon.
Yeah. Or he could be
Right in the hooves.
the bride or whatever, the lady, the spooky old lady.
He could be the lick man.
Oh, I would love him as the
He
lick man,
does love to get
actually.
his tongue out.
Wow, and he's got a big tongue. He has a huge tongue.
perfect.
And that's, as someone who has a huge tongue, it's fine for me to say that. But like I can say it. We're brethren in having tongues too big for our mouths, okay? But that said, he would be good at that. And then I would like to see him look like Dracula. If it's Matthew Lillard looking like Dracula, then he's allowed to look like Dracula, bootleg ass Dracula, as it may be.
Mhm.
But he
Now
probably
you're
would've
back
pulled
in.
it off better. Well,
Mhm.
I'm back in now. You've convinced me. That's where he has to be, because then we can see his face too. That'd be
Mhm,
nice.
mhm.
Nice a little treat. The dumb bitch is Patrick Wilson.
The dumb bitch is Patrick Wilson, but I also just want to give Lorraine a nomination, maybe a Lisa nomination, because I do feel they went through this with Patrick Wilson when he was younger. They have an awareness that it's genetic. Like, I feel like Lorraine says at some point, like, I should have known or whatever, or something to that degree. Like, I feel they could have been on the lookout. I feel they could have been a little more proactive. I really feel like they allowed this to play out, honestly.
Wow, so harsh.
I hate to blame a woman for a man's mistakes, you know what I mean? But they had more information than Patrick Wilson did.
I don't know. I feel like they're in a more difficult situation than you might understand. He couldn't let him know that this was happening because it would make him more susceptible to the demons. Also, imagine being somebody's stepmom or not stepmom, mother-in-law.
The
and you're like,
secret
by the
lesbian."
way, I have a secret I have to tell you. Your husband was astral projecting as a child and he was almost taken over by a demon. And I need you to watch your children's for any demon astral projecting activity. How's that gonna go over?
I'm just saying,
I'd be
if
like,
you're
yeah.
grandma, you could be like, hey kids, so great to see you for Christmas again this year. What are your dreams like?
Mom, Grandma's been asking me weird questions about my dreams. It's kind of freaking me out.
Dawson would love to be asked about his dreams, please. Oh, I want to talk about his drawings, actually. So sorry to go back to the movie again when we had almost escaped talking about the movie. I did think it was funny that Patrick Wilson was like, I don't believe it. And then he walks into Dalton's room and then there's a picture on the wall that basically says, I astral project every night.
Right.
I still thought I was so
On the
smart.
nose.
I was so mad. I was so mad. I was like, God damn it, Patrick Wilson. Why did you have to discover my discovery, my smart girl discovery? That was so cool. Oh, God.
Literally no subtlety whatsoever. He's literally drawing the red door. He's drawing the red faced demon. He's drawing a picture that says, I love to astral project every single night.
He's a great artist.
And they
Every
never
night I
questioned
go
it
to
before.
sleep and I fly in the sky. Like it literally says that. And I leave my body. Every night I go to sleep and then I see my body in my bed and then I fly away. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick
Something to
Wilson is
talk
the
to the
plot.
child psychiatrist about or psychologist.
He's literally a teacher. I feel like we should have like some understanding of like child development. I mean, he's a high school teacher, but still.
Maybe, you know, the problem
I
with
don't
our
know.
education
He's such a
system these
flop.
days. Patrick Wilson is one of the teachers out there. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I think nomination for Elise, nomination for Lorraine, they're nowhere near winning. He wins by
No,
default.
Patrick Wilson.
Like,
Patrick. He doesn't even get a name. His name is just Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
We've moved on to Knives
he
Out
does
of
have a
Five.
name, and it's literally so like Josh. That's his name. Like,
Yeah.
can we
He
come up with
deserves
something more
that name.
exciting?
No, they deserves his name to be Josh. That actually is the most fitting thing about the film. That bitch.
They name her Renee, R-E-N-A-I.
It's a J name.
He's Josh,
He's
Dalton, and Foster, and
J
Josh.
name. He's a J
Yeah.
name.
Yes. Yeah.
It's written on the wall.
Ugh.
You know who else is a J name? James Wan.
The proof
Think
was in
about
the
it.
pudding.
Anyway, Knives Out of Fives. What did people think? People
People
liked it, right?
like it. On IMDb, it has a 6.8 out of 10. And then on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 66% fresh from critics and 62% fresh from audiences. So, I mean, like, not incredible scores, but overall positive.
They were like, this is innovative for 2010. That's what they thought.
Okay.
I don't know. Should I give it a 2? Like, is a 2 like too high? No, 2's not too high. I'm gonna 2.3. I mean, I'm not gonna give it a 3 because I like things that are a 3. Oh yeah, 2.3. What do you think about that? How does that seem? I don't usually go first because I temper it off of. What did I give The Conjuring?
You gave The Conjuring a 2.99999, and Sydney and I gave it a 3.
Okay, well, this is worse than The Conjuring.
Yeah, so 2.3. That's what you're committing.
I don't know. What are you guys gonna do? Maybe I'll change it. I don't want to be the lowest.
Like I don't always think that it's like fun to be a hater. You know what I mean? But this film was not giving me much to work with. Like The Conjuring, at least when we watched The Conjuring, the first 20 minutes I thought were legit so scary and like really built tension well.
Scary.
Yeah, and like the disembodied
and it wasn't
hands,
all, like sepia tone.
Yeah.
Too,
my problem with this scares for this movie is that I had kind of already seen them online over the years, and then when I watched that one, I went, oh, that's from Insidious. You know what I mean? So like they were really undercut for me, and I maybe in 2010 in the theater they would have been scary, but this movie wasn't scary to me. It didn't commit to creating a narrative really. It didn't lean into any lore. It did have some fun aesthetics. Again, I think it would be a blast as a haunted house walkthrough. That's really all I can say for it. So honestly, and I'm sorry, and again, I feel bad about it, but I'm gonna give the movie like a 1.2.
That's fine.
I'm giving it a 3. I had a great time.
A 3?
I had a good time. I watched it twice.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm giving it a 2.3. I'm sticking with my 2.3. Middle of the road. It's the most like medium low movie I've seen in a while, but I also still was scared. I almost peed and BBP'd. Okay, that's something, you know. And I had fun a little bit, and then I thought, I really am not like the other girls because I hate this shit. Not the other girls in this pod. Not the other girls in this pod. But like, I'm just like, I just can't wrap my mind around James Wan. I'm not there. I'm not there. But goddamn, do I respect you if you love him. Good for you. Have a good time. We love We're not going to yuck your yum, but we kind of did for an hour
Sorry.
and 45 minutes.
Sydney,
It's
I'm
our
just
opinion.
so surprised, and I'm not arguing with you, and I don't want you to change anything, but I'm just so surprised because I feel like I didn't get this energy from you the rest of the episode. I'm so shocked.
Yeah, she did. 100%. Sorry, Sydney. I won't speak for you. Sydney said at the beginning, I like this movie and I had a fun time. And then every time you said I
And
hated
I
this,
just
she was
blocked
like,
it out, I guess.
yeah. You've been
I
like
can't
very
hear it.
angry at this movie, Chelsea. You've been very angry at this movie.
I guess I watched it like right earlier today. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a lot of time to emotionally move on because I was just sitting there the whole time being like, okay, I guess I wanted
You
to
gotta
have
stop
fun.
watching them in the middle of the day.
I wanted to have fun. It's a good day to watch a horror movie during the day.
That's
I
true.
was in
It
my
is
dark
spooky out
room. It
today.
was dark out. It was like a little rainy today.
But it wasn't for you. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You don't have to like it.
Dad, I love to have fun. I want to have fun.
That's fine. I had fun listening to you talk shit for an hour.
Here's like, I also enjoyed Malignant. So
I want to give Malignant
had
another
a way more
chance.
committed vision. I'll say that for. Did I like Malignant? That's a whole other conversation. But they were doing something with Malignant for sure.
They're doing a lot.
They're doing
They
a
were
lot. with
doing a
Malignant.
lot. That'll be fun. Okay, 2023 we'll cover Malignant, but it's gonna be months from now. I need space and time. Okay, well, next week things are getting real hyphy. Chelsea, I think this is your duty. I think this is
Is
your
it?
God-given right to introduce this film. You've only been
Okay.
asking us to do this for 3 years.
oh no, I love this movie, but this feels like a Chelsea introduction.
Do I not know what we're doing next week?
Santa
Are you
Jaws.
kidding?
I have not been advocating for Santa Jaws. Yes, and me. Somebody else suggested it, and I said, "Okay, I'll put it on the calendar for December." And then every time we talk about Christmas movies, I go,
So,
"You
I'm
guys
sorry.
still want to do this?"
Sydney, I'm so sorry. I just associate sharks with Chelsea because she never shuts
I
the
love
fuck
a
up
shark
about
movie.
sharks.
That's why we were gonna let her introduce it because it's a shark movie.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm so
okay.
sorry, Sydney.
You guys just presented it as though it was something that I know and I'm so excited about. And I was like, "Did we change it?" And I forgot because I literally have no attachment
wait,
to
wait.
Santa Jaws.
Have any of us seen this movie even?
Yes,
though?
I have.
Of
Oh
course,
my
Sydney
God.
has. Sydney,
Well,
you
I don't
introduce
know.
it. Take this away from me.
We were also going to do Avalanche Shark, and I don't think any of us have seen that
Look,
shit.
I love a Sharky 2's week. I
Oh,
love a
that's
Shark
movie.
2 weeks. I have not seen any Christmas silly little bee shark movies.
Let me tell you, I watched
tell us
this
about it,
while
Sydney.
baking Christmas cookies in 2019, 2020, whenever it came out. It's like a sci-fi, like shark movie.
Yeah, it's like your guys' thing.
Yeah, like it is. It's incredible. It's so fun. The premise is absolutely outrageous. It's such a
I
good
like
time.
it. Oh, wow. You said sci-fi and I knew, like, I felt it in my soul. It's been so long since I've watched one of those fucking shit ass
Yeah.
C movies. It's not a B movie. It's a C
Yeah.
movie. It might be a D movie from the Sci-Fi Channel, like Memorial Day marathons. I am so
It's
stoked.
like it has a shark, but it's not a shark movie. It's a monster movie.
Yeah. Well, it's like a shark if it was injected with
Yeah.
steroids or something,
It's not a
you know?
47 meters down. It's not a The Shallows. It's not a Jaws. It's a Sharknado.
Okay, but also all of those, they make the sharks fake. Like the sharks are nice, and we have a shark psychologist.
Yes.
Psychologist.
A shark psychologist would be so cool. This shark
We
is
have a shark
sad.
psychologist.
This shark has
shark-
anxiety.
This shark loves Santa Claus. So
I mean, I'm so excited to watch Santa Jaws.
Ho, ho, ho.
It seems fun.
also, in case you were thinking, oh, I'll skip this one, you better not. Because when it's an Oscar award-winning shark movie. That's not true. But it's also gonna be our final episode of 2022 because the girls are going on vacation. I don't know. We're gonna take a 2-week
Day
hiatus for
break.
the first time in our entire history of the podcast. And don't you love it when we rest? I love when we rest. So be happy for us. But we will be back the second week of January, right? The second Tuesday in January. So
Yes.
Yeah.
it's not too long now. Don't cry. Just listen to listen to the Fly episode. Maybe Magic. What's another one? Thanksgiving. I'm listing all the ones that I want to have more listens.
Get those numbers
3.
up. Boost
Maybe
those
Leprechaun. Yeah, boost those eppies, They're great. Anyway. Why not? While you're at it, write us a 5-star review. It just seems like the right time. You're getting ready for more sharks. We've had a shark haiku in the past. It was stunning and beautiful. You can use it as inspiration to write a holiday themed haiku, giving us a 5-star review. Why not also follow us on social media? We've got fire TikToks left and right. You don't want to miss this shit. It's at spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. At Spooky Tuesday Pod on Tumblr and Facebook, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And again, there is one video out in the world from us on YouTube. It's incredible. Don't miss out. And in the spirit of James Wan, I don't know what he would say. Thanks for listening.
Bye, spookies.
I just don't get him.
Now you're outside. Let my voice be your guide. Keep a steady stride. Into the further you go.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Haidt, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.